I'm going to do that now. So welcome to Thursday, September 2nd for Kiwanis Let's Talk. Tony is the best-selling creator of the Mind Capture book series. He is also an in-demand keynote speaker, strategic business coach, and global event promoter. His work has been featured in various media outlets, ranging from Bottom Line Magazine, the Detroit Free Press, the Fox TV Network, ABC, CNN Radio, NPR, and Entrepreneur Magazine Radio. He's a 1994 graduate of Western Michigan University with a degree in marketing and has been a faculty member and instructor with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and CEO Space International. His core expertise and messages are designed to help people capture more minds and profits. And as I mentioned earlier before I turned on the recording, Tony has spoken a couple times at our conferences here at the Michigan District of Kiwanis, and we are grateful to have him with us this evening. Tony, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Well, Sue number one of many, thank you so much. And I first off want to welcome everybody tonight, wherever you might be, first and foremost, to give thanks for two things that I call the gifts that are really in big demand today. Number one is your time and the gift of your attention. So anywhere I train in the world, so you've seen me speak live a couple of times, and I do a lot of Zoom, obviously, the new world we're in the last 18 months, but if I could reach out, and we're having a cup of coffee, I'm drinking an iced tea right now, some of you are drinking coffee in Australia, is really say a couple things to set the stage is, the session is going to push you tonight to think a little bit differently in a world that's kind of gone crazy at times. And we're all very well of the elephant in the room with all the issues, and we're in different countries represented tonight, mainly the US. But I never want to waste your time when I train. Our time, all of us, is extremely valuable. So I'm going to recommend you grab a pen and paper. And if something I say provokes you, or I give you a question or a quote or a book recommendation or a tip, write it down. The other thought is if something provokes you to come up with an idea, write it down in real time. Here's why. We are inundated with information. I'll start out with the core of my teaching the last 15 years, which has been, we're in an attention war. We have about a 9-second attention span for even people that we know. I call a goldfish on meth cocaine. So if I haven't gotten your attention now, I surely have, okay? Again, not advocating with the shirt here, drugs. I'm a hope dealer. Let me explain that. You probably saw the advertisement. I was in the pink tie and the suit. I look like Chicago PD. Tonight is Thursday night in the States. And I've got my Detroit Tigers hat on and my hope dealer shirt, because that's what I want to talk about tonight, is a very different way of looking at the world that is almost controversial, because people kind of think I'm crazy at times. I'm okay with that. Here's what I mean. I like to focus for many, many years on what the human race and what we can do positively. The latest book I'm going to teach from tonight and give a few nuggets of wisdom is called Positive Disruption. We wrote the book last year at the height of the beginning of the pandemic globally. We released the book on December 7th of 2020, and we're now in 2021 as we record this September of this year, doing a U.S. book tour in the middle of all this. I will give some full disclosure here. Life's easier that way. I question the status quo about why we focus on all the negativity. Very clearly, I'm not naive. I'm not the guy that says, hey, if you've got a bullet hole, you treat it with aromatherapy and you pray over it and it's going to solve a gunshot wound. You have to have a surgeon and a specialist to repair that. What I mean by that example there is I believe we get what we focus on. And right now, the world, as you and I know, is almost like a microwave of negativity pounding us down. Some of it is very real. Okay, I'm not going to deny that. However, we seem to be obsessed in everything that's going wrong with the human race. Tonight, I want to lay out the case that it's okay and a smart strategy for you, one-to-one, if I was sitting with you in your office or your home, to say, if we focus on better positive things with practical strategies, we can lead our communities better, our families, our Kiwanis clubs better. We can be better business people, better retirees, better partially retired people, whatever you might be, whatever your life situation, a parent, is positivity never goes out of style. The challenge is negativity and doubt, which I'm going to talk a little bit about tonight, is on the offense. I give us permission to kind of shut down a lot of the negativity if you want to jump on the train with me. So I'm going to bring straight up opinions, pick and choose what works for you. I'm going to have fun because I'm getting paid a lot of money to be here tonight. So are you. Okay. And we're going to, right out of the gate, it's not a light topic, but with a little bit of levity thrown in there in a world that's so serious. I enjoy when I go to see presentations live or on Zoom that the presenter, he or she, has a sense of humor, which I'm going to talk about why that's so valuable to positively disrupt others in the world we're in. Okay. So I want to give the sort of the backdrop of this book and the story and how it quickly leads into tonight's lessons that I want to share with you from around the world. The book I wrote last spring was at a time where all my income stopped, all my speaking stopped, and I had clients that gratefully would let me do Zoom training or paid me and said, look, we'll make up the training dates. I was basically broke, not like completely broke, but I had a few months of savings. I have, different things to protect me as a business owner, but I was terrified because all my livelihood had stopped. A lot of my passion to teach had to quickly shift to digital. So you talk about transition. I also had a major change in life in June of last year in a relationship that ended in the middle of all this. So I'm like, what do you want to do now? And I did a lot of meditation, prayer, talked to a couple of close people. I saw at Wise Counsel, and literally in the summer of last year, I said, you know what? I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do it in 90 days. And at the point when the world is literally locking down and my career is completely stopped, I'm going through the challenge of grief and trying to figure out a breakup. What do I want to do? I decided to write a book, guess what? On positive disruption. Go figure. So I'm not afraid to look at challenges, but if you look at the timing, it was probably one of the strangest, maybe awkward times to write a book with that title, which by design is attempting to get people's attention. Now, we have the gift of looking backwards since the book came out in December of last year. And what's happened since then, I've gone on a lot of television shows locally, podcasts, radio programs throughout primarily the US and Canada, okay? And people are saying to me that call in or get the book is, hey, this is what we're looking for. And you have to take a big leap of faith. There's your first tip. Every day for us is a leap of faith. We wake up each day, we have our health, we have food, we have clothing, we have provision. That to me is a great starting point. It's fascinating tonight, before we hit record doing roll call, we have a gentleman from Louisiana. I mean, but whatever you want to define it, your spiritual walk, the grace, his home was spared, his power just turned on. We have another gentleman down in Australia. He's a day ahead of us, so he's already future seeing this program. And, we're all trying to deal with this new kind of strange reality. It's almost like the Twilight Zone meets Jumanji, the movie. And every day, I know last year when I was writing the book, I'm like, I'd wake up and go, when is this going to end? And it's still not out of the woods, obviously, as we record this in September of 21. But here's another big point I want to share. Who controls your life? Everyone point at yourself. You have personal responsibility and liberty, and I'm not going to play politics. Please write this down. I am not running for governor or any political party. That is not my lane. I have politicians, nonprofits, businesses, and entrepreneurs will sit in my live audiences and they go, we'd like to recruit you. I'm like, no, I love people that are doing positive things to advance the human race. My core of teaching the last 16, 17 years, I never go heavy politics or preaching at people with religion. It's a personal choice. I work with for-profit, nonprofit religious groups if they believe in the message of positivity. I feel like it's a call to arms per se, my fellow peers in ministry. This is when people are going to need us more to motivate them. And more importantly, if you want to make a note, inspire people. I can't motivate anybody anywhere in the world. I can hopefully inspire them. There's a difference in the word choice there, that if I get them to question something differently, if I recommend a resource or I say something that they go, maybe I should look at it from a different angle. You know what? I agree with Tony. I totally disagree with Tony. And you know what? There's a new lane, something in the middle he talked about that I might want to investigate. That to me is a sign of a good teaching session. Okay. So what I want to do tonight, in massive respect of all of our collective time, is give you 3 tips. 3 tips. If I said, look, Tony, what are 3 things I can do to positively disrupt right now? Here we go. First one is practice gratitude daily. Now, I'm in the reminding business. Some of this is going to seem deceptively simple, but in a world gone mad with 9-second attention span and our self-talk each day and all the negativity, simplicity always wins to me. It's the core blocking and tackling, as they say in American football, you master basics, life becomes much easier to add on to those basic core. So gratitude, you've probably heard about it. Here's the cool thing. Massive research has been done, everybody, on the fact that you cannot be angry at the same time when you're doing gratitude practice. I'm going to hold up my actual journal that I use every day, okay? It's not sexy, but I take a pen and paper out every morning and I write down my gratitude list in this journal. It travels with me. It's in my bag. It's in my office when I'm not flying around and traveling. And to me, I set the tone for the day by not turning on the telly or turning on a podcast that could be negative in nature. And I'm again not going to pick any networks. I've been on a lot of the networks, okay? Few of them have the guts to bring me on. I'm like, you want to bring a guy on talking about positivity? Are you sure? Yeah, come on, okay? So gratitude, setting that morning. Another strategy is with this gratitude is you start what we call the day in, and the day in the beginning, they're called the bookends of your day, the start and the finish, okay? Our friend in Australia, I think he said it's morning time there and he's having his coffee. He's ahead of us. In the East, we're approaching the bookend for most of us. It's 8:15 Eastern. So many of us will go to bed the next 3-4 hours. But I want you to think about how are you starting the day and how are you ending? What are you thinking about when you go to bed? A lot of people will do their gratitude list. I'll sometimes review my gratitude list and just read it at nighttime before I go to bed, okay? But the whole thing is, it's daily. It's something that you program. And I can't tell how many times how fun it is to write down, and I can visualize family, clientele, health, spiritual things, financial abundance, clothing, food, music, laughter, joy, co-creation. Those are some of the things I write down every day in my journal about gratitude. So to me, in this world that is just constantly bombarding that microwave of negativity, you owe it to yourself to put a line in the sand, a hard boundary. So look, I'm going to program my mind habitually with the actions of gratitude each day. Okay, so that's one of the favorite ways that I like to practice gratitude. Second strategy to positively disrupt, and I call it a very unique, brave new world, is work daily what I call the power triangle. So if you're taking notes, I'm going to show you in the visual here. It's a triangle. The power triangle on the top, there's 3 components to it. On the top would be your body. The other component in the corner would be body, mind. And the third component of the triangle is spirit. So it's a triangle made up of body, mind, spirit. Nothing new here. This has been taught for thousands of years. What I want to do tonight is give you sort of, again, some options of things that we do and my top clients do collectively that you pick and choose. Say, I'm doing that, or, hey, I might want to try that to improve that triangle of the body, mind, and spirit, okay? So let me give you a few ideas that work those 3 sectors. First area, right now, especially in a world of quarantine in certain parts of the country or social distancing, I believe that we need to get outside and circulate. It could be around your yard. It could be walking to the beach. I know we have folks from around the world that have different rules regarding how protocol is with COVID or social distancing. Use your discretion, but getting fresh air, getting out in tune with nature. I do a lot of hiking. I walk outside my office every day. There's a beautiful boardwalk here on Lake Michigan. It's 3 miles door to door. I walk it at least once a day in the spring and summer, in early fall. But it clears the mind. The oxygen's very healthy. I get great ideas when I'm walking out in nature. To shut down and disconnect in the world of digital, it also frees your mind. Okay, so again, this is not all brand new. A lot of this is common sense, but it's difficult. Digital technology is extremely addictive. We know that. Okay, so to me, by taking really good care of ourselves, the best defense, I believe, is a stronger you. And that's why I talk about the body, mind, and spirit. If you build that triangle each day on your own, because no one can tell you to do it, you have freedom and free will and personal choice. If you work that triangle each day, you're much more positive. People want to be around you. You have better ideas. Think about people, just imagine here a minute, in your circle that are super negative. Do you want to hang out with them, or do you kind of want to run from them? When they enter one of your meetings, for example, I know I've been to different Kiwanis meetings around, particularly the Midwest, is some people walk in the room and the sun shines with them. Some walk in, it's dark clouds. And we still have to be kind and gracious and respectful. However, here's the cautionary tale. Watch how much time you spend around negative people, okay? So if you look at the first tip with the power, the power triangle, body, mind, spirit, is being outside, working out, getting fresh air. That's to me is awesome. Another area in the power triangle is I'm a big believer in laughter. You should have 7 really good laughs a day. Note it down. Check this out. Research. The average 3-year-old laughs 200 to 300 times per day. The average 30-year-old might laugh 50 times a day. The average 50-year-old, they're not laughing very much. And I don't know about you, but sometimes, not to contradict, but it's a reality. I look at social media or listen to podcasts and go, how can you not laugh at some of the crazy things going on in this world? Okay. Laughter to me is a gift that human beings take for granted, especially the more that we age. And I can tell you, I'm looking at a picture on my desk. I'm going to take it right off right here. I'm at my desk in my office here. There's a picture of Tony Rubleski at age probably 5. Okay, there's me. And I look at it on my wall. I just took it off the wall and it looks at me over my laptop. And here's why. Sometimes I'm on a phone call or a podcast or doing an email or a project. I look up and I go, are you being too serious? I look at the earlier version of me and go, what would the younger Tony say? Are you enjoying life? Are you laughing? Are you too serious? Are you too, gotta be this, and this? Don't get me wrong, I'm an adult. But many times I unleash the inner 5-year-old. And I'll tell you why. That's where the ideas come from. That's where the joy of music and laughter and energy and spontaneity and being open to new ideas and being able to disagree, but respectfully with other people. Folks, you are leaders of your clubs. Your communities look up to you. You meet all kinds of personalities. People are drawn to people that respect each other, that oftentimes have a positive, forward-looking attitude, okay? Folks, take a look at the notes if you got some. This is not brand new. Again, I'm in the reminding business of things that we should focus more of our attention and our time on, okay? Continuing on the power triangle to really crank up your body, mind, and spirit, because I'm a big believer in journaling. And journaling to me is similar to writing down your gratitude list. You write down your goals, you write down your observations. I'm a writer by trade, okay? Positive Disruption, this is book number 7. I'm working on book number 8 right now. So journaling and writing things down is built into me. I will tell everybody here, it's not a mystery. I don't go out and advertise a lot when I'm doing big keynotes, but I'm a former gambler. And something that I learned in my recovery walk, and I keep track of how many days, is we learn how to journal in the 12-step program. So again, I'm not here to talk heavily about recommending you get into 12-step, but I can tell you, people go, where'd you get journaling from? That's drawn a lot from working with different counselors over the years and my journey to be a former gambler. So again, I don't have it all figured out. And some people might go, wait a minute, I can't believe this guy. I don't care. I'm being very real because at almost the age of 50, I'm grateful for the adversity that I've learned a lot from that's helped me with my message of positivity the last 20 years to be able to be the fact that I don't have it all figured out. I don't have a perfect script. Many of my mentors don't have a perfect script, men and women all over the world, but I still love them. Some people have a perfect, easy life that has no contrast. Awesome. I respect that too. But I want to give you practical things I've learned on this personal development journey, good and bad, of life, or the challenges that I've learned from, of where this book, where this teaching, what is the origin point? Where are the sources of what you're recommending to us tonight? And where'd you pull it from? Also, I study very successful people. The book before Positive Disruption, I interviewed over 150 people in the last 15 years. And I look for patterns of success. What did they do to identify key components, what I call trailblazer traits? So you're getting a combination of book number 6 and 7 tonight with a primary focus on positive disruption, okay? In addition, some other quick practical ideas to improve your body, mind, and spirit is watch the media and social media intake that you get. I will be very candid. It has been a rough road, particularly in the US, the last 10 days. And I again, we're all adults here. I have been pulled into the media a little bit more than usual. And I don't want to be a hypocrite, but it's very seductive, particularly with the stuff going on overseas with, the United States. I've been drawn into that just more as a human being. I'm like, well, I've got to watch that. Doesn't mean I'm ignorant, but it's bringing me down sometimes the last few days. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Well, I've been watching more media because there's been so much global change. And I'm not going to talk politics or religion. See how I avoided that? Because I believe you have freedom of choice. I love contrasting opinions. I love people that are this side, that side, in the middle. I love you all. Hope dealer. I love people. Okay. To me, the world needs more non-judgment and more positivity than at any point I've seen in the last 20 or 30 years. Okay. I did not go through Vietnam, World War II, World War I, or Korea, the major global conflicts for the US. But I can tell you, this is a different type of challenge we're in. And people are burned out talking about that. So again, I'm going to take the controversial position. Why not be positive in a world that's kind of gone a little crazy? All right. So those were a few ideas to check out. And the third area that I want to talk about tonight to positively disrupt yourself and those that you care about around you is I want to recommend some different resources to you. Okay. I want to draw back to what happened in March of 2020. I started to go on Facebook Live a lot to communicate with clients and readers and fans of mine from across the world. And I went out in late March and I recommended 3 books. 2 of them I'm going to recommend again tonight because I went back to my library, which is right behind me here in my office. Right when the pandemic started, I said, I'm a history geek. Sue didn't mention in my introduction, thank you for that, is that I almost became a history teacher. So I have a history minor. I love history, geopolitics. I like to learn what we have done well as the human race. Obviously, what helped us advance. What did we do wrong that we learned from that we hope never repeats again? So I'm going to look at both sides of the ledger historically, okay? And there were 2 books of the 3. I'm going to hold them up here tonight and then talk about why I think they're extremely relevant now, no matter what your politics, your religious faith, or if you're whatever spirituality. These 2 classics, I've had more people say, oh my gosh, those books are amazing, okay? And I don't get the endorsement or kickback on these books. The first book was written right after World War II. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a trained psychologist. He survived multiple concentration camps under German occupation in World War II. Check these statistics out, everybody. 1 in 22 prisoners that went into German camps, 1 in 22 made it out alive. That means 21 out of 22 did never returned. Okay, not a judgment call. These are historical facts that we should learn from, okay? Frankl in his book, as the title indicates, said, the prisoners that made it had a lot of things working for them, but a lot of them he found that made it, those 1 in 22, had a purpose or a meaning to keep pushing on each day. He said he could tell, and I'm paraphrasing from this classic book, that many prisoners would give up sometimes 7 days in, 7 weeks, 7 months. And typically when they gave up mentally, they were gone. They would die of nutrition. They would physically just drop dead when they stopped believing they had a purpose or meaning to survive 1 day at a time. Frankl's driver was his wife and his family. And unfortunately, a lot of his family did not make it. But he chronicled that book right after he got released during the German occupation when it was over, and they basically liberated those death camps. And that book, to me, gives us all a perspective, in my opinion, on this, that we don't have it as bad as it could be. Doesn't mean we settle. Doesn't mean that we question things that we believe personal freedoms may be under attack. You have to determine that. But here's what I found. We're now 18 months globally into the COVID issue, okay? And no matter what position you sit on this, I have seen around the U.S. traveling, I've been traveling throughout this quite a bit, safely and effectively, is that people I talked to from California to Montana 2 weeks ago to the Midwest or down in Florida and Arizona, they're telling me, just don't feel it. Like there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of doubt, there's a massive confusion. Those are hard realities that we're all trying to process. What I believe, though, is I go back to Viktor Frankl's book and say, look, what did people historically that were going through infinitely worse situations over a period of many years, what did they do to successfully get out of it and live? In his case, it was life or death for Frankl. And those lessons from these classic books of history, firsthand accounts, can come back to 2020 and 21 now to serve us to say, all right, we've been there before. We can push forward as the human race. We can positively lead. We can disrupt, I call it. We can help people. We can serve the community. Everything you do in Kiwanis, you get it. See, I'm not so much worried about you tonight. I'm worried about those around you that don't think like this. And it's not me forcing these opinions. I lay out the argument everywhere I train in the world that positivity is the right way and a better way of living. Again, being grumpy, people don't want to be near you. Most grumpy people don't have good health. They're negative. They shoot down ideas. They want to keep everything exactly the same. They're not what I call forward progress or growth oriented. Okay. So shame on me for saying it, but I don't hold back. Okay. You have your opinion, I have mine. But that book to me is wonderful. Here's the second book that I recommended heavily. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Okay. Stay with me on it because the title might throw you, either capture you or scare you. It's called Outwitting the Devil by the late Dr. Napoleon Hill. It was written in 1938. And the book was released posthumous in 2011. It's 10 years old this year. And I had done some work with the Napoleon Hill Foundation 10 years ago, full disclosure, and I don't get paid for them to recommend this book, but I was brought in to look at this manuscript 10 and a half years ago. And I remember reading it and I went, oh my gosh, it's like he is describing like modern day man or woman. Let me give you the short version of what the book's about and why I think you should maybe explore it. Hill, in this book, interviews the devil, okay, in the courtroom. And again, it's a work of fiction. And in this courtroom trial back and forth, Hill asks the devil, why does the human race fail? And Dr. Napoleon Hill is told from the devil in his story, and he writes in the book how the devil tricks the human race. He uses fear, doubt, propaganda, division. And I could see now when I read the manuscript 10 and a half years ago, and the Napoleon Hill Foundation and Amazon brought me in, I went, wow, this book is really controversial. He also talked a lot about propaganda in the book, not left, right, independent, current politics, just universal ways that humans give up their freedom, their positivity, how they quit on their dreams, how they lose their faith and hope. I got to tell you, as the hope dealer tonight on my shirt, if you lose faith and hope, strong opinion here, game's over as far as how successful you can lead others. People are drawn to your energy. Please write this down. Positive energy is extremely contagious. And I think that's a good contagion. Again, I'm not trying to play off of the world we're in right now, but the parallel is you have a decision each day. Do you want to be grumpy and down, or do you want to be forward thinking and positive? The world needs more positivity right now. Folks, this is not an easy sell. When the economy pre-COVID was booming, the challenge was people like, oh yeah, we know we should do that. Things are really, really good. It's easy. There was no COVID. We didn't know what it was. Now in a world that we're in where it's very challenging and there's a lot of fear and doubt, I went right back to this book and I did 2 Facebook Lives and people went out and said, oh my gosh, I got that book. I got feedback for months. People said that book was amazing. Or you can get an audio or an ebook, whatever way. Those 2 books to me, if you look at positive programming to me, and again, I obviously am a big fan of my own stuff, but I'm a big believer that I don't have the full range or ownership of positivity. Something I may have not have alluded to back in point number 2 about the power triangle is I'm a big believer in having some sense of spirituality, okay? Whatever your faith walk is or meditation, something that I believe studying lots of spiritual leaders around the world, I'm just very inquisitive. I believe that spirituality, a personal choice, is a positive element. Yeah, it can be used for bad, but for the most part, if someone's spiritually grounded or meditates, is more intentional, that is good for positivity in my book. And I can tell you, Positive Disruption was written through a lot of self-reflection, quiet time in nature, hiking, meditating, doing my form of prayer to my faith walk and my belief structure. And the book was really shaped on a lot of self-reflection. Here's the goal of why I wrote the book. And I'm going to transition to my book real fast here. Is I believe we need to turn more inward to go upward to move forward. Here's what I mean. We have forgotten how to listen to our intuition for the most part. We let other people take away our creativity, our inner genius. People are sometimes want to keep us at their level. They don't sometimes do this intentionally, but if you're thinking positive or say, hey, what if we try that? Or what if we do this? Especially now, a lot of people are going to tell you, well, maybe we should wait. Maybe we should just keep waiting and let's not do that. And I want to push each of you tonight as leaders, okay? You do Kiwanis because you love it. You have your own variety of reasons. I don't know those, but I can tell you, you love helping others. Is sometimes, especially now, you're going to push the needle forward, and some of your fellow members are going to be, that's crazy, that's scary, haven't you heard? And it's going to come down to you. I can't be there with you, is to hold the line if you firmly believe it, that you're going to have to really put that point out there with intention and conviction, not argument, intention and conviction to say, I really believe that. And sometimes you're going to have to look at the doubters. They're going to go, oh, they're just crazy. That'll never work. And you're going to move forward, and that idea gets through, and it's very effective, is to not look at them and say, I told you, but say, you know what? Hey, I appreciate you giving me feedback. Help us go forward even more, okay? The world needs more leaders. It is clear as day. You don't have to go political, any on that. We're looking for people at a small local level and a regional level to step up positively. I've laid out the case tonight to push us forward. Sometimes people are going to like it, but progress is our nature. I love history. I gave you a couple of examples of books tonight, okay? I want to give you a quote from a very famous book called The Art of War. Stay with me here. It may sound contradictory. Here's the quote. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Sun Tzu from the book The Art of War. I'm not a war guy, okay? That's not my DNA, but I know that if you have to hold the line and defend a position or really believe, that could be considered warfare. It's a battle. I like that term better. But I look at what we're going through at this marker on 9221 in the human race, and my assessment is, as a positive guy, is that leaders are going to come in right now that we never would have expected to see, and they're going to change history. That, to me, is really cool. There's also going to be changes that we can't see coming out of this, that we're going to go, wow, the challenges the world had with COVID and lockdowns and quarantines and whatever positions you feel on that, we're in the middle of it right now. So as Sun Tzu would say, we're in the middle of that chaos still. But I believe that the positive disruption, revolution, is going to come from you, if I could see you, me, that say the human race has to go forward. And we have to do it from an attitude of how do we adapt, improvise, overcome. It's from the movie Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood, if you're wondering, by the way. There's a line where he says, you have to adapt, improvise, overcome. The human race needs you. Folks, you're giving up valuable time right now to watch this video. Either it's live or if you catch it, time shifting. I thank you. I thank Sue for the invitation. We tried to get on here in June of this year and we had all sorts of tech difficulties. So Sue, thank you for persisting. Okay, that's Sue number one, because we have like 7 Sues on the line apparently. But that's just sort of my perception here. Sue, if people want the book, you can ask that later. We've got time for Q&A, but the quick recap of the 3 points: gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Work the power triangle each day, which consists of body, mind, and spirit to fuel your soul and your body and your mind. And the third area is positive programming. What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you journaling? What ideas are you writing down and then implementing? Those 3 to me are a good core foundation of what I call positive disruption. So as your hope dealer tonight, I'm going to turn it back over to Sue at this point. And I want to again thank you for your time tonight. It's been a pleasure.
Tony, thank you very much. I'm going to open up the microphone for everybody. If you have a question for Tony, I did put in the chat the 3 books, The Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and I have read that book several times.
Cool.
If you've never had an opportunity to read it, please take the time to do it. Outwitting the Devil, that's one I have not read yet. So that one I will make sure that I get ordered. And Positive Disruption, I'm halfway through that one. Whoa! So yeah, so I'm going to open it up, and here's your chance to talk to Tony and ask questions and see if you've got anything. And those of you that are says you're Sue Peterson, feel free to turn on your camera and show us the real Sue Peterson.
Please stand up.
Please stand up. I changed a few names when I saw faces, so I see a few people there.
There you go.
I took notes. I'm a note taker as well, and it's funny because I've everybody's gone digital on calendars and all that stuff, right? Everybody wants to do that. I'm still a note taker. And, it's proof that if you write things down, you tend to remember them longer, right? And that's what they tell you, even when you're taking notes for classes, the more you write down, the better you'll be. And the more you remember it, because it's kind of that mind-hand connection. And I still take notes, and people are like, why don't you do that electronically or type it? I said, because I just don't remember it as well.
I use both. I do a lot of handwriting, but I make sure everything's I put in my phone. There's note memos, no transfer, right. But I use both.
Yeah.
All right.
Barbara, go ahead.
This is not a very profound question at all. What's the name of the book by Viktor Frankl? I came in late.
No Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay, I know that. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. And so I do have a question, though, about what you were talking about, Tony, which was very, very positive and empowering. But, how do you just man on the street be positive and have it affect other people, or woman on the street?
That's an awesome question. Couple things come to mind. First off is, this is going to sound corny. What is your energy? Are you smiling? Do you give contact to people? Do you say good morning? The simplest things that I do is I'll compliment people. I go to the coffee shop outside my office. Hey, Brittany, that's a sharp shirt. And it's not to be cheesy. It's a genuine compliment. And it's amazing to me. I want to reference a couple people that have really talked about appreciation. Love or hate him, Jordan Peterson out of Canada, Toronto, University of Toronto. He's very controversial. I don't know why, but I like his work, okay? Jordan Peterson, a fair paraphrase, has said that most people never get a compliment for days on end. That's like they're invisible. And that shocked me because I took for granted that people get positive, hey, that looks great, or hey, that's a nice hat, or hey, I like your Detroit Tigers hat, Tony, I like your t-shirt. Giving simple compliments with a smile or a good morning, you'd be surprised at the simplicity of that ripple effect. I walk the boardwalk, as I mentioned earlier in the call. When I walk on the boardwalk, maybe it's a Midwest thing here in Michigan, I'll sometimes look at people and say, hey, good morning, or they'll look at me and they'll wave and I'll wave back. That acknowledgement is big. I want to say something that builds off your question. Here's my observation that I've said on media interviews, and I can tell that reporters are stunned when I say this. Here we go. I believe my observation, talking to lots of people all over the world and face-to-face, what we're seeing right now is a grand experiment that people are built for social connection. We are not wired for distance. I would put my hand on my faith walk book and I'd say, till the end of time, this experiment should not stick around forever. We are built to be one-to-one across the table, having a cup of tea or a beverage, at a meeting in a circle, connecting human to human. We have shared humanity right now on the globe. The beautiful thing is technology is serving us to teach about the lost art of offline. So go figure. So I've got friends now tonight that are in Australia. I haven't met you. Friends in Louisiana, where you're at, who asked me the question. Technology can bring us together, but that shared humanity of being socially connected is a different ballgame. So that's my quick answer. It works, it's applicable, and it's easy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tony, I will tell you that, having been on campus, most everybody on here knows I work for Michigan State, and the last 4 or 5 days, it's been crazy, right? As they moved back 51,000 students. The dorms, everything has been nuts. And I will tell you that the energy and the excitement as you walk down the street and just say hi to people, or, welcome to campus. There is such an energy. And as I've talked to people who have not been back on campus, they're like, oh, the students are back. I said, but you know what? You need to be there because the energy is just, it's enormous. And if you can't pick up from being with them, you think about it, we have 2 groups of freshmen, first years, because the sophomores didn't really get a first year on campus.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. And you have a second, the first years on campus. And the excitement it's just amazing. I mean, just to be back together and people are wearing their masks, some are not, some are, but it's not like people are, I just remember days when people would be walking and not smiling and just looking down, right? It's a totally different atmosphere now, even in the city. And I'm sure that, it's happening everywhere.
Well, that's a very good points of observation. And Sue, thank you for sharing that, because you're seeing a major ecosystem turn back on again.
Right.
And what I've noticed this summer in Michigan, we had our different protocols like the rest of the world. It had protocols. And I noticed that it seemed like in June and July, people were kind of like, hey, oh my God, a face. I can see a face sometimes. And, I'm very public on social media. I share a lot of positivity and slices of my life. I go to concerts. And it's almost like a quasi-religious experience where there's 20,000 people like, oh my gosh, we can sing. We can be kind of near each other. We can experience the vitality of live living again. And you can tell people are kind of like, am I here? Let me give you a quick example. I saw the country singer Keith Urban Saturday night, okay, up in Mount Pleasant. And Keith Urban is from Australia. He's a big Nashville star, country music legend. He said repeatedly to the audience of about 10,000 people, he goes, everyone, this is my second live show in 596 days with a live audience. And he kept thanking us, and he's looking at all of us, and we're looking back like, this is weird again. But he was like in awe seeing a live audience again. And I can't imagine the emotions he had. I go on stage for little groups, nothing like 10,000, you guys. But I've done some live events for groups the last few months. And it's weird. I'm like, oh my gosh, hey, good to see you again. Can I hug you, fist bump, or wave to you? And even those general acknowledgements, to go back off the question earlier, people, we miss that connection. And, we've got Zoom and the technology like tonight. It's great. To me, though, the however is that we are built to connect, not to be distance. And that's probably why I can never run for politics.
and I just, I just can't imagine what it's going to be like. It's a football game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just the number of people that will be there. The first football game in how many, in 2 years?
Yeah.
That fans can be at. I just think it's going to be just an amazing experience. And I think that's the biggest thing behind it, is that we all get to see each other, and whether there's 60,000 people in that stadium or there's 30,000 people, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not going to matter. I see that Alan and Larry and Caller have unmuted themselves. Alan, you have a question or anything you want to say?
Yeah, it's probably an unfair question, but I'll ask it anyway. I'm a big fan of John Gordon, author of The Power of a Positive Team. How would you contrast yourself to his work, or don't you know enough about his work?
Here's the ironic thing. I don't know his material well enough to compare it or even contrast it. But I have a handwritten thank you note from John Gordon, because one of his quotes is in my latest book. He sent me a thank you note because I sent several hundred advance copies. And John was one of the few people that sent me back a thank you note, handwritten. So I already like the guy. I've heard about his work. Forgive me for not knowing his repertoire, but I can tell you clients that bring me in and have worked with John, rave reviews. So give me another John Gordon. Give me something why you like him. I'm curious, because now I'm going to go back and probably read one of his books.
He really lays out how a positive team or a positive leader can change a team. And so much of the work I do with Kiwanis is team building right now. So I'm always looking for the angle to get, the Kiwanis teams, first of all, to feel like they're a team and not just a bunch of people in the room, but also the idea of it being a positive team, and as a group, they can do greater things than they could positively do, individually. And that's where his take is. But I mean, really, a positive team with a positive leader can do things that are amazing. And I've seen it happen so many times.
I just wrote down which book would you recommend I start with?
I would start with The Positive Team, go on to The Positive Leader after that. And that's how they were written.
Okay. Got it. I have my homework. Thank you for sharing that.
Cal.
Tony, could you expound just a little bit on your comment early on about the difference, inspiration versus motivation?
It's a great question. Here's where I draw the difference. Motivation in our industry is people say, Tony, you're brought in to motivate people. I don't know if I like that term. It's just a personal choice. Inspire is to get people to move to action, whereas motivation might get them to go, okay, that's kind of cool, I'm excited. But inspiration gets people to think differently, to take action. That's the difference, in my opinion. Motivation could be sweet sounding words and get you all fired up. I call it the Chinese buffet. But 2 hours later, I'm hungry again because it didn't do the work. Inspiration to me, I'll lay it all out tonight. I have some people that come up to me at a live event and say, I didn't like you the first 45 minutes. Matter of fact, I thought you're full of crap. And they'll walk up and they'll buy a book. And I'll look at them and go, okay. And they're like, well, I don't agree with you, but you said a couple of things. You made me think a little differently. And I got a couple of ideas. I'll take a book. And they kind of sneak the book over and then they walk away and they pay me. And to me, that's fun to watch because I know I'm not for everybody. And when I get brought in front of a company, I've got trainings coming up for like 300 employees. Most of the employees have to sit through me. And I can tell you 80%, 8 out of 10 don't even want to be in the meeting. That's a tough audience. So I do everything I can to not waste their time. Does this sound familiar? To fully get their attention, I use a lot of visuals and stories and music where they're going, well, I don't really particularly maybe like this guy at the gate, but at least it was entertaining. And he gave me an idea or a story that I can remember because I know I can't make everybody happy. I used to try to do that in my career. That was trying to motivate them. Just rah, rah, rah. As I've gotten older, I'm almost 50. I'm in the inspiration, hope dealing business. So look, if I can get them mad at me to change for the better, and I never hear from them again, but they've done something positive, good. I'm okay with that. And even people that don't like my message, I will tell you tonight, I get people say some of your stuff is really simplistic. I'm like, that's cool. Totally okay with that. Next.
You know, Tony, I thought some of your stuff was really simplistic tonight. Yep. And I knew I'd heard it before.
Yep.
But you started to inspire me as we got closer to the end.
I'm glad we're taping.
Sue just told me she turned that off.
We're going to call you Sue number 3.
But I think when you look at a lot of that stuff, a lot of when it goes back to it is simplistic, right? Sometimes we need, as Tony says, we need that reminder that what we're doing is we're doing it for the good, right? We're all positive people. You know, yeah, we have our grumpy days, whatever, but the reality is what we're doing is for the good of our communities and the good of each other.
Well, and I have to tell you, it's not easy. I said at the beginning tonight, being positive. It's almost like, are you crazy? It's like, it's easier to be cynical, snarky, and negative. That to me is the easy club. Anyone can do it. It's the old coffee clutch, misery loves company. However you define it, it's the same thing. It's safe. People are, okay, it's safe to be kind of negative and like, don't want to rock the boat. When you put your head out there and you are more upbeat, a lot of people right now, especially the world that we're in the last 18 months, do not like that. Mm-hmm. You know what? That's okay. But to me, strong opinion again, if you're stuck with me for 54 minutes now, you know where I stand. I would rather be around positive people because it seems to be that positive people make changes in the world. You may not like who they are personally, but you might like the device they created, the book that they wrote. But here's the other myth. You can't be positive all the time. I have learned the best lessons in life at my contrast or dark adverse points. I don't want to repeat them again. I alluded to the fact I'm a former compulsive gambler. I'm okay with that. I don't throw it out from the stage all over the world all the time and talk about it for half an hour, but it's defined and shaped where I'm at this marker at 49 years of age to know that if I can hit bottom or have people extend grace and positivity to me, I can be a conduit through my teaching and writings to share that wisdom, okay? I'm not happy every moment of the day. That's why a lot of things I'm telling you that I should recommend tonight, I utilize a lot of them throughout the day to stay up, okay? I have tough phone calls. I have speaking gigs that I lose. I have people that say, hey, you said something in an interview, we don't know if we can bring you back on. That's life, okay? I used to be a classic people pleaser. I want to make everybody happy. I realized I was miserable, you guys. I was miserable. I didn't know who I was. And it's okay to have a strong viewpoint and your freedoms of expression, the right to assemble, to give ideas, to not feel threatened for different viewpoints. I love the creativity of the human race. I told you, I love people. I get on airplanes and get in front of strangers and give them my opinion and many times get paid to do it. I'm like, this is weird, but I love what I do. And tonight, this is a give back. I don't get paid to be here, but I get the gift of working with people that are positive. I just got a referral tonight to a John Gordon book, a prompting to go out and start reading his material. So thank you, Sue number 3. we joked around, but it's a give and take. It's a reciprocal relationship, teaching tonight and getting back questions. And the question from the gal, forgive me on her name, about what can you do with a man on the street or woman on the street? That was a good reminder to me that, hey, are you practicing what you're teaching, Tony? And if you're not aware, then you pick up and you learn from others that give you advice as well. So tonight we all won. That's the way I see it.
Larry, did you have a comment? You had your mic off earlier.
I'm all set.
Okay.
I had a silly question for you. I don't know whether it's an editorial comment or not, but I was looking for you. Of course, the easiest thing is to go to Amazon. I was wondering whether the Amazonification of America, whether you're avoiding it, because I didn't see your books or your name pop up there.
Hold on. Remember the movie Home Alone, where Kevin does that? The young kid. Oh, okay. You get an award. Sue, if you want to email me, I'm going to send you the book for free. If you're in the US, okay, here's why. Many of my earlier books had been on Amazon with traditional publisher. Positive Disruption, we put it out self-published for speed to market, because it would have taken another 9 or 10 months to get out, okay? In addition, we could ship it directly in the US and Canada, and a lot of people bought 50 of them. They wanted 100. We didn't have the capability waiting for Amazon and traditional publishers I work with to do it, so we self-published it and printed thousands and sold thousands on our own during the pandemic. We did a bypass of Amazon. So can I give a shameless link to where people can find it?
Yes.
You ready? Okay. Sue, and if you could post this all over the place, if people are interested, you go to my main page, mindcapturegroup.com, like our gentleman did here with a great question. And it's mindcapturegroup.com/positive book. mindcapturegroup.com/positive book. You click that link, you see the media interviews, and there's an order page directly to get the book. So yes, you get the free book award because, yeah, it's not because we're trying to make it hard to find it. We did not traditionally New York publish. I will share with your team tonight. This is not public, but this is our intent. I talk tomorrow with my other publisher that's published my New York model books. He doesn't know this yet. We're likely going to sign the follow-up Positive Disruption Volume 2. It's a book of quotes and questions to journal in. He doesn't know it. He'll find out at noon tomorrow. We're likely going to sign the next book in the series with New York and then re-release it next year in the fall of 22. That's not even public yet. So we're shifting back to New York again, but because of speed and timeliness of message, we shipped everything out of the office. It was like a book factory around the holidays. It was nuts. Books are going here. They're going everywhere. But that's why we did it the way we did. So thank you, sir. And you also get the book.
When I couldn't find you on Amazon, then I just typed your name into Google, and Mr. Yep. Google pulled up your book right away. So it's easier than trying to find mindcapturegroup.com /
I'm a little bit
positive book.
Delicious, but that's how you talk the book.
Well, I think it's cool that you've been promoting other books. I love Man's Search for Meaning, and not your own. So very cool.
Thank you. Any other questions, team?
Any other questions, team?
I was disappointed that you didn't have a audio book when I went to Google, which is usually my source for audiobooks because they're cheaper than Amazon 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Can I throw this out? We do a podcast called Positive Disruption. Go figure. Okay. Yeah. We go into that, Spotify, iTunes. It's based on the book where I take a quote and a question, and I give 2 to 3 minutes of commentary off of the daily quote. So you can find audio podcasts. I think we have 60 or 70 episodes that are archived and out. That's probably your best bet to find audio.
Well, and I will tell you that we are doing some book writing ourselves for some things, and we've been talking to the Michigan State University Press, and they told us the best way for us to do it is as well to publish ourselves, and not because we can put it out quicker. We're doing some Sparty books, and they told us that the way to do that is to do it ourselves, because we can get it out quicker.
Well done on that. And I would say, there's a high probability, I don't bet anymore. There's a high probability that that advice is solid out of the gate because you can get it out there much quicker.
Right. That was our university. We went right to our university press, right? That the university has an option for that. And they said, we can get it out quicker. We can print it. And they said, we can print it in the States. I mean, they were very good about saying that. So I've seen that as well.
Excellent.
Other questions, other thoughts?
I was going to throw out just a thought in terms of positivity. For the past several years, my wife and I have had fun with paying it forward in drive-through lines, whether Starbucks or Taco Bell or whatever, by paying for the meal behind us. But you never get to really see, that satisfaction, which really shouldn't be the intent of giving to others. But I read recently about the idea of when you go up to the cashier at the grocery store or the drugstore and look around at the candy bars that are there to tempt you and all, and ask them what their favorite candy bar is and then buy it for them. I've been doing that recently, and the young people just go crazy. The reaction, it's a lot of fun. So if you're ever looking for a quick pick-me-up, go to your local CVS and go up to the cashier and look at all the candies and say, I can't make up my mind. What's your favorite? And they'll tell you, and then give it to them, and they're just like boggled their minds,
That is awesome. So thank you for sharing with us collectively. Can I go back real fast? I want to build off of what you said because I'm going to use that. So thank you. I mentioned in the earlier question about please and thank you and genuine compliments is something else that I've been doing the entire pandemic is when you're out and about with people. And I get this because two of my kids work in the service industry. They're in college right now. Okay. And they work at the busy gas station here in the Midwest. They see hundreds of people a day. And the stories they tell me, how people treat them, it's like a case study in customer service, good and bad. So gleaning that from my two children, I more intentionally, when I see someone say, hey, thank you for coming in today. Mm-hmm. Thank you for getting this meal that I'm picking up. I know it's not easy. I appreciate you coming into work. They're like, thank you. You know how many people are mean to us? They're rude. They don't want to come near us. They're kind of like in a hurry. And when you give them a genuine compliment for showing up, they're like floored. They're like, thank you so much. That made my entire day. So the chocolate bar, going to borrow that. Got my John Gordon book to order. And I think that idea collectively, to go back to the earlier question, is just be nice to each other. I could look at my bookshelf. Dale Carnegie, classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've thought about mailing that anonymously to people. Okay, I'm a little joker at times because we've forgotten the lost art of please, thank you, in manners. Genuine manners will take you very, very far. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, Tony, thank you for your inspiration. Oh, go ahead, Barbara.
I'm sorry. I just wonder if, Tony, if you are familiar with the Gratitude Guy, which also came from this series, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with him, and how does your theory mesh with his?
I feel like stumped. I'm 0 for 2. I know there's a lot of gratitude teachers. If you have the title or the name of it, I'm sure we could Google it, but there's many gratitude teachers out there, or the law of attraction. So
I'll send it to you. His name is David George Brooke.
Okay. Thank you, Kiwanis. I got some homework tonight.
Yeah, and he calls himself that Gratitude Guy.
Okay. Well, he might be also. I might interview him eventually because I'm always reading and researching.
There also is a group out there called a Network for Grateful Living, and I stumbled upon them about 3 or 4 years ago and actually sort of did the franchise. I guess you'd call it a franchise. There's no payment or anything, but I started just before the pandemic, Gratefulness Indeed, which is a gathering on a monthly basis of people to share their gratitude and everything. And so they have different chapters at different cities and countries around the world and everything, but they have some really, it's a little bit on the hippy dippy side perhaps for some folks and all, but it's great. And then there's another post that's maximum gratitude, minimal, I'm trying to find it, minimal stuff. That's a really good one too.
Okay.
I have a whole gratefulness sort of little folder that I keep here. But I need a little pick me up.
Send me a link, that would be great. Here's the other thing I want to recommend for everybody is, if you want to follow me on social media, not to follow me like I am the king, I post a lot of real good quotes every day. So I'd love to stay in contact with either Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, just look up my name. And then that way, if you want to do a friend request, listen to you on the Kiwanis, I'll accept it. I'm almost at 5,000, but that way you can share some of these resources. I wrote down the other two, a gratitude guy and John Gordon, but for some of you might want to get some of the daily quotes. I'm shifting more people over to my business pages because we're going to run out with numbers based on my personal, but I know, Sue, you see a lot of my stuff, but a lot of people silent our social media because it's updated all the time.
So Brad and Tony, I will make the official introduction by email. So you guys can connect and share those things. And I will also put this information on the Michigan District of Kiwanis Facebook page, as well as on my Facebook pages. And I'll tag Tony in those so that it takes you to his page as well, and make sure we get that information out there. But Tony, great. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm glad that we were able to reconnect and get you back on our schedule.
Well, you're all very welcome, and around the world before we depart, be safe, do good work, and keep up the Kiwanis mission, you guys and gals. It's very important, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
All
See
right.
you. Have a great labor. For those of you in the States, have a great Labor Day weekend.
Bye-bye.
Be careful.
Bye.
Be safe.
Thank you, Sue.
And go green.
Yeah. Thank you, Sue, for
Yeah, go
hosting
green.
this.
You're welcome.